We are going to look at balancing equations in this lecture. I am using the worksheet, balancing equations worksheet that looks like this. And I've got the first problem up here on the board. So let me show you how this makes sense to me when I learned how to do it. And keep in mind, I'm not a math person. Math was very hard for me doing algebra, and I was fine with fractions, decimals, and all that, but then algebra was very, very hard for me. So I don't think mathematically. It's not a language that I speak natively like a lot of people do, like many of you will. So some of you, this will be just like, well, duh, it just mathematically makes sense. For the others of you that might think more like in humanities, like history and language arts and those kind of things, maybe doing it this way will help you. So let's go through this and see what we have here. You don't have to really worry about what any of these chemicals are. I don't know what they are either. I can tell you individual things like K is potassium and things like that, but I have no idea what K3PO4 is. So that part doesn't matter. What we're looking at is, here's our yields sign. This is the arrow that tells us yields. So these are our reactants. This is our product over here. This is what we end up with. These lines are where we're going to have to put a coefficient. Remember, the coefficient is the big numbers. It'll be something like 4 or something here that gets multiplied all the way across. And that's different than the subscripts, which are over here, which just affect, the 3 just affects the K, the 4 just affects the PO. Whereas the coefficient affects this whole line here. If I put a 4 here, it affects this whole line here. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So this is how I do it. I first start off saying, all right, what do I actually have on each side to start with? And I'm a very visual person and not a mathematical person, so this is how I lay it out. I have 3 NAs. So I'm going to do Na, Na, Na. I have 4 POs. I have 1 K and 1 OH. Now over here, I have 1 Na, 1 OH, 3 Ks, and 4 POs. All right, so I'm color coding. So I'm using blue now to say what I have. I'm not going to write in black at all because that's my equation. So this is what we have. This is what the equation gives us. I haven't done anything to manipulate this at all yet. So we want to balance the two sides, right? These reactants need to balance with these products because you can't have more over here and then end up with less, or have more over here than you started with. I mean, it just doesn't work logically, right? So it has to balance. So there's no magic to this. This is just, you plug in numbers until you get it. All right, so if I look over here, I've got 3 NAs, but over here I only have 1 NA. So obviously I need to add one. So I'm going to color code now with what I'm adding, because this could change. This is going to be where I'm estimating what it might be and playing with it. So I might be erasing and coming back and doing more. So I'm short 2 NAs over here. So I'm just going to add 2 in my drawing down here. I'm not going to do anything up here yet. So now I have 3 NAs on this side, and I have 3 NAs on this side. Remember, I'm working off of that yield sign on each side of that. All right, over here I have 4 POs. Here I have 4 POs. So I'm actually good over here. So I'm just going to put a check mark. Here I have 1 K, but here I have 3 Ks. So that means that can't happen. I've got to have 3 Ks on both sides then. So I'm going to have to add 2 over here. I have 1 OH and I have 1 OH. Okay? So now it's balanced. So let's take these from my just visual schematic here and let's plug it up into the equation. So I have 3 Na, I have 3 Na, so that's good. That didn't change. I have my 4 POs, that didn't change. But I've had to change the Ks. I now have 3 Ks up here. So I need to add a 3 up here. But here's the thing, if I add that 3 up here, that means I also have to now have 3 OHs. So I'm going to go to green and say these are the things that I'm forced to add. I didn't want to because I had 1 OH and 1 OH. That was perfect. But if I put a 3 here, that's multiplied times the K and it's multiplied times the OH. So I don't have a choice. If I have 3 Ks, I've got to have 3 OHs. All right, so now over here, I have 3 NAs now, so I'm going to add my 3 up here. Those are my 3 NAs, but if I do that, bam, here it is again. I am forced to add the OHs. But luckily, look at this. Now the OH is balanced. The ones I was forced to add on this side, I'm also forced to add on this side, and it worked out. So let's check it. I've got 3 NAs, 3 NAs, 4 POs, 4 POs, 3K, 3K, 3 OH, 3 OH. Everything balances. So my coefficient of 3 worked on each side here. And so now that equation is balanced. All right, now we're going to do one that's a little harder. And the reason I say it's a little bit harder is because we have parentheses here. We have a subscript inside the parentheses and a subscript outside of the parentheses. And it's going to work just like math regularly works. So we're going to multiply the 2 subscripts together. So 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, so we're going to end up with 6 of these NOs here. So let's go through and see what we have. Let's start on this side again. I have 1 RB. I have 3 NOs. Sounds like mom. No, no, no. But maybe that's not your mom, but that was my mom. Over here, I've got 1 BE. I've got 2 Fs. Notice there's the subscript again does not apply to the BE. It only applies to the F. The coefficient over here would apply to all of them, but the subscript does not. All right, here's our yield sign. Then I've got 1 BE. I have 3 NOs in the parentheses. Multiply times 2 means I have 6 NOs all together. And then I've got 1 RB and 1 F. All right, so what do we have to do to make it work here? Again, my blue is just what I'm given. All I've done is just pull numbers out of here. I haven't done any work yet, no processing. I've got 1 RB, I've got 1 RB, so that's happy there. I've got 3 NOs on this side, but I've got 6 on this side, so I need to add some NOs. So 1, 2, 3. Now I've got 6 and 6, so that works. I've got 1 BE, I've got 1 BE, I've got 2 Fs. Here I've got 1 F, so I'm going to need to add another F. All right, so now this looks like it's going to balance, but we need to bring the numbers up here and see what adding these numbers in does for us. All right, so I've got 3 of those that I'm given. I've got to add 3 more. Since this is a subscript here, I'm going to multiply that times 2. I have 2 sets of the 3, right? So I'm going to put my 2 up here. Oops, wrong color. And you're going to see that that forces me to have 2 RBs. So I'm adding my green, what I'm forced to add to it, whether I like it or not. But now I've got 2 times RB is 2 RBs, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 2, remember, right here. All right, so here I've got 1 BE, 1 BE, so I'm happy there. Here I've got 2 Fs, 2 Fs, I'm happy there. So I didn't do anything to this side to get there. But what did I do over here to get that F? I had to add a 2 to get my 2 Fs, right? So here I'm adding my 2. And again, that forces me to have RB times 2 as well, so I have to add an RB. If I look back over here though, luckily it worked out that I'm forced to pick up an RB here, I'm forced to pick up an RB here, and I have 2. So if I do a coefficient of 2 on this side and a coefficient of 2 on this side, that should balance the equation. I've got 2, I've got 6, I've got 1, I've got 1, I've got 2, 2, and I've got 6. Yep, that should work out. So that's a little bit harder one, but only because you just have to remember that when you have parentheses, you multiply the subscripts together. All right, let's do one more, and then you can hit the rest of the sheet on your own. And you'll have to email me if you have questions to go further. I don't want to do the whole sheet as part of the lecture here. All right, so I'm going to get my blue marker, and let's see what we actually have here. I've got 1 NA, I've got 1 F, I've got 1 BR. But here I've got 1 NA, 1 BR, and 2 Fs. This one looks like it's going to be a fairly simple one, right? One NA, one NA, those are good. One F, two F, so I need to add an F. One BR, one BR. All right, so that's it. It's that simple. All right, so what do I do up here? Let's see if it works out as simply as the initial visualization works out here. So to get this second F, I have to multiply this times 2. And that forces me to add an NA. So 2 times NA, there's my 2. 2 times F, there's my 2. All right, bromine stays the same. Sodium bromide stays the same. And I've got those 2. So am I balanced now? I've got 2 NAs. No, I only have 1 NA on the side. So I need to add an NA over here, which means I have to multiply this times 2. But if I do that, now I'm forced to pick up a BR, right? So now we're not balanced anymore, so that didn't work out. Because now I have to have a BR over here, right? So now I've got to add a BR to make this work. All right, so what do I need to do up here then? If this is 2, then this has to be 2, right? So 2 times NA, 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 2 times F, FF, 2 times bromine, bromine, bromine. Good there. 2 times sodium, both of those. 2 times bromine, both of those. 2 times F, both of those. Okay, that looks like that works now. All right, so that's how I work these. I need to lay it out and be super, super visual. I obviously do it in pencil if I'm doing it in paper because I erase a lot. I've been through all these a couple of times to work them all out, and so it went a little smoother, but my first time through, I'm erasing a lot and that doesn't work, and I go back and plug in another number. Okay, but that's that problem, and you can work the rest on your own. Shoot me an email or meet me in Google Meets, and we can talk about any problems that you're having. Bye. All right, guys, as the last part of this lecture, I just wanted to show you my work when I was doing the equations from this worksheet. When I was working on the whiteboard, I had the advantage of being able to color code things so it kept clear in my head. And I couldn't do that working with pencil, but let me come in close here. So this is problem number 1. And let me show you a different one because I didn't develop my system right away. So hang with me for a second here. Yeah, this is a better one. So this is problem number 6. So you can see I did the same thing here where I'm just laying out what I'm given. But when I have to add something, I circled it like this so that I could tell that this is something I had to add and I need to go back and account for it. These were all given, these I had to add. So you can do your own code. It doesn't have to be my code. You can color code if you want to use markers, but then you can't erase, obviously. All right, thanks for hanging out again. See you soon.